Welcome to the Lifeline, a production of Simply BJE. The goal of this podcast is to build, inspire, and to empower our listeners through conversations on business, leadership, and mental health. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at www.simplybje.com/The Lifeline. Now, let's tune in for today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of The Lifeline, where real brothers having real conversations about real life. I'm Barry J. Elliott, joined by Lindsberg Petway II, Bo Powell, and Stephen Coleman. Today, we continue our focus on men's health awareness with, once again, University Physician of North Carolina A&T State University, Chief Medical Officer at Kindred Hospital, Greensboro, Dr. Brian Shackelford. Our goal, once again, is to inform men without creating fear while encouraging them to take ownership of their health. Good morning, Dr. Brian. Good morning, gentlemen. How's everybody this morning?
Good morning.
Blessed, well, thank you.
There is a
Good
doctor in the house.
Doctor in the house.
Sir.
So we're continuing where we stopped off last week. And I just want to ask a question, Dr. Brian. What are some of the common health conditions you see affecting men that could be prevented? Because, one of the things that I see in our country is that we specialize in remedial rather than preventative medical care. So talk to us about some things that we can do that can prevent some of these things if managed or detected earlier.
Thank you. Good morning once again. Honestly, Bear, I think you hit the nail on the head in the regard of we are not a medical society that works preventative. We are reactionary, right? So we allow our population to get behind the 8 ball before we decide to do anything about it, which I think is horrible. But it is something that our culture and medicine is really trying to work against, but we just don't have the manpower right now to do so. And the issue with that is when I say manpower, I also mean the appropriate colored manpower, because we don't have representation that looks like us in healthcare to one, start a level of trust to get us back into going to the physicians and doctors and making sure that we're doing the things preventative, doing our routine care. But with that being said, a lot of the same disparities that you have in the African American community in general run even more rampant in Black men, right? So your hypertension, your diabetes, your kidney disease, in regards to cancers, we're starting to find your colon cancers a little bit earlier in African American men, your prostate cancer as well. It's one of those things where I believe we have been the workhorse for so long that instead of us taking the opportunity to invest in ourselves to make sure that we are fine, we're putting off things until, we are extremely, extremely sick. Like, oh, I used to be able to work for 9 hours straight. Now I'm barely able to do 2, 3 hours at the job before I'm out of breath, having to take breaks.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I know some of it is due to our not wanting to go to the doctors, but is some of that stress related as well because we internalize stress differently?
So I think we're getting real heavy real quick, and I like that this morning. We're getting real heavy. So I believe, and this is just my whole tripart being, right? Spirit, soul, hate to say body is the least important, but the thing that we focused on the most, because without a body or that vehicle that's working well, you can't do anything from underground. That's all I'm gonna say. So I do believe, though, it is one of those things where your psychosocial aspect, that mind-body axis really does play a huge, I do mean huge component. If your cortisol levels are spiked, which is a stress hormone, pretty much we can tell that you're going to be inflamed. Your inflammatory markers are going to be higher. When you have higher inflammatory markers, your cells don't rest the same way. They don't rejuvenate and recover the same way. You're at higher risk for cardiovascular disease. You're at higher risk for high blood pressure, things of the sort. And then when you have high blood pressure, you start to have to think about your body as almost like highways. And I hate to say it this way, but the blood vessels can be highways. You got a bunch of cars on the highway trying to go 90 miles an hour. You end up with crashes if there's little bumps in the road. I think of those bumps as little plaques that are starting to form that we may not know about. And that's how we have a lot of your heart attacks, sometimes strokes, if they're kind of those small blockages in your brain. So that's where we start to see those kind of things. So to answer your question, yes, I do believe stress in the way that we have to embody stress in the way that we have embraced toxic masculinity in a way not to reach out for help, but to internalize to be the everything. And I hate to use this terminology, but to continue being the buck
Yeah.
is
Mm.
definitely something that I believe is hurting our emotional intelligence, our physical health, and our well-beings.
Yeah, I have to say this publicly. I've been dealing with a lot, and Bo reached out to me last week, not because I called him, he just reached out to me. And I don't know if I said this to him, but I said it to somebody else. I believe that phone call may have saved my life because men
Mhm.
need to have that space where they can really say what's going on without being
Mhm.
judged and have to be careful without being made to feel like a feline. Let me say it that way.
Very
Um,
good.
Me too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Good
so
choice.
you
Good
know,
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's important that we have those stress releasers because a conversation can really save your life.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
if you look, and this is one of the, I will say, scariest facts and numbers in regards to suicidal ideology and suicidal attempts, right? Men have the highest percentage of suicidal attempts that actually go to fruition.
Mhm.
When men attempt to commit suicide, we aren't taking pills. Usually we're doing something with some sort of violent level of totality, right? So
Yeah,
we're the ones who are trying to shoot ourselves in the chest, or I hate to use blow our brains out, but shoot ourselves in the head to,
yeah,
quickly do something. We're the ones doing more of the jumping off of bridges and high elevations because when we are doing it, it is definitely an escape mechanism. We're not to the point where this is a cry for help. It's when we should have been crying for help, we didn't, or when we did, no one listened. Or like you said, they made us feel like a feline. So instead of having that level of respect or that masculinity to allow us to be weak in our kingdom, and I do mean kingdom, we haven't been allowed that. So we, finish the act of suicide. Whereas if you look in psychology, it will say that females will do other things, like they'll take pills where there's a chance for recovery or higher chance. They'll, slit a wrist or may not even slit their wrist in the right position. They cut more because it's a cry for help,
mhm,
not as much of a full and total, I'm ready to be out.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
I think
Mm.
what you said was very astute.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I have a question, but I'm thinking about something, but we could that would be a total different topic for this show. But since we're not a preventative society, why is it so important that men know their family medical history when it comes to understanding their own health risks? And I say that because sometimes in the Black community, when people die, we don't know why. We
Mhm.
don't know what they died from. I happen to know that my grandfather died from prostate cancer. I just found out that my uncle had a heart attack. My other uncle had a heart attack. So now I know that something is running in my family. My mom has been on blood pressure pills ever since I can remember. So why is it so important that we find these things out so we can prepare ourselves for the long haul?
Got you. So spiritually, I believe the Bible gave us a lot of good principles that if we extrapolate them the right way, we can actually live by for more than just spiritual well being, right? So the Bible says that life is in the blood. A lot of
Mhm,
people will interpret that scripture as an okay, cool, obviously my blood is pumping through my body. I have life via that. But if you kind of extrapolate it a little differently, you need to know your genealogy, you need to know your genetics, because if you don't know what's in your bloodline, you don't know what to combat, what to prevent. It's one of those
mhm,
things that we found in medicine that a lot of the diseases that we deal with, you have this, it's called a two-hit hypothesis. So two things have to occur for the disease to take place. Yes, genetics is one component, environment is the other. But if you don't know what you're predisposed to, how are you going to know, like, hey, I'm predisposed to high blood pressure. I don't need to be eating all this extra salt, and I don't need to be
mhm,
bumping cracklings and pork chops, and I don't need all this fried food because that's going to increase my risk of hypertension. There's
mhm,
this ApoL1 gene that's running rampant in African Americans because it protected us from African sleeping sickness when we were with our ancestors in Africa. Now it causes end-stage renal disease at earlier
Mm.
ages. So it's just like, oh, I might need to know about this so I can start protecting my
wow,
kidneys. There's certain colon cancer genes that have been mutated where, okay, cool, your dad may have had colon cancer at 40. Why did he have that? Does he have Lynch syndrome or some other hereditary issue that's going to end up causing you to have more predisposition to have colon cancer? So maybe I should, start my colonoscopies earlier. Maybe I should not eat all these foods with nitrites and nitrates that increase the risk of colon cancer. So that's very important. And just to be real and to, just kick it, like you don't know the game, or you can't play the game unless you know you're actually in one, right? So if you don't know the rules of the game, you'll never win it.
Rules of engagement.
So that's really one of
Yeah.
those knowledge is
Yeah.
power. If you don't know the rules
Yeah.
of the game, you can never win. You can show up
Yeah.
every day,
Wow.
but you're always gonna have a losing hand.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's powerful because just having conversations with my son, he had a little bout with high blood pressure when he was going to college. The football team, the physician did a screening and his blood pressure was high. And come to find out, he had been eating ramen noodles every night.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
why are you eating ramen noodles when we did that when we were on our knuckles in college? But you eat this high processed food that's continuing to spike your blood pressure. So then I had to have the conversation with him about his history, about what is in his bloodline.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: as we get older, and I guess this is the right question for me, Mr. Barry, since I'm the oldest.
Correct.
As we get older, I'm getting in this culture. What daily habits make the biggest difference in living longer, staying strong, and maintaining a quality of life? So should we be getting TRT since we're getting older? Because I see a lot of game day TRT spots around. Getting some hormones. What should we be doing?
Right. So it made me sit all the way up here. So I think I won't say crazy. I think it's, divinely timed in that regard. I've been actually starting to study longevity health, right?
Okay.
The reason I've been trying to start longevity health is, like I said, if you look here versus you look at other countries, I mean, in Japan, they got 80-year-olds who are climbing, 600-700 feet at a time to go to their gym.
That's insane.
Their gym is at 600-700 foot elevations. They have public free gyms.
Wow.
In Africa, you have 80-90-year-old men who are still very vital and virile.
Yeah.
80-90. In America, what do you have? I got 20-year-olds, it won't get up. I got 30-year-olds, I'm tired all day. I got 50-year-olds, oh, my hips, this, that, and the third, right? So I don't believe it is much a testosterone replacement or TRT, because sometimes you will end up seeing that testosterone, obviously a sex hormone, but I believe that we live a highly estrogenic life in the United States. And I'll try to explain what I mean by highly estrogenic.
Please do.
Yeah, because I'm up here talking all these big SAT and MCAT ones. No, so the reason I say that, I believe that the American society, one, is a very opulent society. We indulge way too much. In that indulgence, we have one of the worst waist circumferences, right, in the world. So if your waist circumference is elevated, you know that you have what we call central adiposity. That's that dad bod, that beer belly, that kind of gut fat. I can tell you with that, your testosterone is going to be lower because you have more estrogen. You're going to end up having competing sex hormones. Alcohol increases, like, I won't say moderate alcohol consumption, but the level of American alcohol consumption increases your level of estrogen.
And that's like a beer every day, 2 beers every day.
That's a couple beers a day, a couple glasses of wine. I don't care if you're saying it's red wine. I'm taking it for the resveratrol to protect my heart. Okay. And your body is saying, okay, cool, this feminization of these female hormones. Also the extra hormones that are placed in food, whether you, as many genetic modified foods that we have, you cannot tell me they're not doing some sort of hormone regulation in them, right? The way we eat, when we increase our central adiposity or that belly fat, what ends up happening, our testosterone competes with the estrogen. And not trying to be funny, that estrogen is going to end up winning as long as that fat's there. So a lot of the vitality that we think we should have, It's lifestyle. So the one to answer your question, it would be consistency, right? So this isn't a thing. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it sure can start to be torn down in a couple.
Yes, sir.
The reason I say that is definitely going to take a series of, hey, I'm going to eat better. Hey, I'm going to show up for myself and do some sort of activity every day. Hey, I'm going to prioritize. I'm not going to just, de-stress with a couple beers. Maybe I can de-stress in another way and only have sparing alcohol, consumption when I'm celebrating or doing something like that. The level of dopamine that we crave on the daily basis has allowed us to get into that place because the way the body works, everything is nerves, everything's electrical impulse, everything is some sort of transmitter that tells our brain to do something. If you look at the two most important organs in the body, the brain and the heart, they run off electrical impulse. That is why we are extremely impulsive.
Quick question. So
Yes.
I heard something, I think it was on the Science Channel or something, but they were saying that our muscles produce testosterone, and one of the biggest muscles are the glutes. And so is it true that produces or increases testosterone?
So muscle mass does. So to kind of even flush further on the previous answer, with that consistency, there are certain supplements that I believe actually help.
Okay.
Right. That's what we need.
Creatine, I'm
Creatine.
not going to say I swear by it, but creatine, 5 grams a day. Make sure you're drinking your water. It puts water back into those muscles. It allows those muscles to have fuller bodies. It allows those muscles to move a little bit more, thereby creating more muscle mass. That muscle mass will help produce testosterone. That testosterone will help increase your vitality. The one tall tale sign that something is getting ready to occur. And I do love, Barry, the way you mentioned the glutes because yes, they are the largest muscle. And I hate to say as men, we don't like leg day.
No.
And I'm extremely tired of seeing bros just cock diesel up top with pencil
Yeah.
And Mighty
legs.
Mouse at the bottom.
Yeah, you gotta
Like
hit
you
the
wear
legs.
size 30 jeans and a 4XL shirt. Make it make sense. Like, make it make sense, bro. You got on the 4XL
Yeah,
Prescott jersey and skinny jeans
the
from
skinny
Baby Gap.
jeans.
Make it
Yeah.
make sense.
From Baby Gap, not
That
Baby Gap.
is
Oh man.
hilarious.
Hey, he
It's
hit
one of
hard
those.
today.
I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where that level of mobility and leg
Oh,
muscles
man.
are actually going to create more adenosine triphosphate, more ATP, because how do we walk? How do we move? We're not Neanderthals. And unless they're able to tip over and walk on their hands all day, we use our legs more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't get up with our hands, we get up with our legs. We don't
Right.
walk with our hands, we walk with our legs. So the ability to be able to get up and go, a get up and go test, if you fail it, I can pretty much tell you that you're going to have some sort of fracture or some increased level of morbidity or mortality. So making sure that the consistency of working those leg muscles out so we can remain mobile, because the older we get, the more we have to actually put into those joints to make them want to do the things that they did when we were younger.
Wow.
Yeah. I heard a report that said, just working out your legs can add like 10 years to your life.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Because it's one of those things, and that is why after the age of 65, if you have a hip fracture, your mortality in that first year increases precipitously because I can tell what's going to happen if you can't get up and go.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
So now
powerful.
going back to my question, if you could just
Yes,
give
sir.
me 3 to 4 things that we should
Mhm.
do, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet. It's cayenne pepper, it's apple cider vinegar, it's all this stuff. So
Yeah.
if you could just give this old brother.
You giving the doctor a fit over there.
You tell what he be doing at the house,
Because
No, I ain't getting the apple cider.
I miss
I
I
tried
promise
it.
Well,
everybody,
people your age
everybody
could
and
do
their
that,
mama.
Lynchburg.
I thought about it.
People your age could do
He got
that.
an aloe vera plant in the corner.
TikTok will have you taking aloe vera and super greens and take this
No
Goldie
juice,
tri-pack.
no
Yeah.
juice, all that type of stuff. So if you could just give us 3 to 5 daily habits. I know creatine is one. I know
Yes.
creatine. Should we be taking a multivitamin, a men's vitamin? What?
Ooh, this is spicy. I like this. So, creatine, yes, because I actually believe in studies have shown for muscles as well as cognition, omega fatty acids, omega 3s for brain health. Um, I will let you know in regards to magnesium and collagen, I take both.
Okay.
Joint health, not as
Okay.
much bone health, but joint health as well as muscle soreness and muscle relaxation. A consistent exercise plan. And then if you really get into if you're eating healthily, why are you having to supplement with all these surreptitious vitamins?
Mm.
Because of my lifestyle, because we're busy, we on the go, I'm working 12 hours, the typical person. So I don't have the opportunity to eat right. So I'm taking greens, you scoop the greens and all that type of stuff. So people see so much, and if you got
Hmm.
the right advertisement, you'll believe it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why Goldie has 17 distributors who are on TikTok and Instagram telling just take this apple cider vinegar, this super green, and this, and you'll be a-okay. We have been sensationalized as a country that we don't have to do the hard work.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to eat
That is
right.
why that's all we look for.
Mhm.
How can I, and this is why I know American healthcare is not preventative, it's reactionary. Everything's how can I pop a pill, not how can I do the work.
Mhm.
Not hating GLP-1s, because trust me, I have patients who are on them. Sometimes they are perfect for you. But the craze is let me start this GLP-1 so I don't have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Let me help my lack of willpower in a lot of people to lose weight. And I'm not hating GLP-1s because they're indicated if you are morbidly obese, and we got to get weight down so you don't end up having diabetes, so you don't end up having other cardiovascular issues because they're cardioprotective. They're also found to be renal protective or kidney protective. They work. But for my people who are 20, 30 pounds overweight,
yeah.
why
Get to
you
the
need
gym.
one?
Yeah, they get skinny
I,
real fast, man. Look like bobblehead, you know?
they
Yeah.
do. I'll say something even
You know what I'm saying?
I'll say something even scarier. And I won't even say scared, probably meaner. I don't know. We had a power outage in North Carolina, so it's probably I ain't getting enough sleep. So I apologize. I'm just gonna cut straight from the hip. If we stop putting like fork to mouth and working out, that's the only bicep curl you do every day.
Yeah.
Maybe you could lose that 20 pounds. Like that one arm real strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
This is
doesn't
true.
doesn't doesn't those the GLP-1s, from my understanding, it decreases your muscle mass as well, doesn't it?
So it
Yeah.
does a couple things. One, it allows your brain to not crave food,
Mm,
Oh,
because the way that your body craves food is through a hormone called ghrelin. It's upregulated to let you know that you're hungry. It ends
Yeah.
up allowing you to have more satiety. It won't allow you to eat the same way. Secondarily, it makes you lose muscle mass because you're not eating as much, and muscle, you need protein. That's
Right.
why we count our macros to make sure we have enough protein. That's
gotcha.
why if someone's on a GLP-1, they need good counseling. Like, hey, I need you to eat this or drink this number of grams of protein a day so you don't look like the sunken place.
Right. Right.
Mm,
wow.
Right.
Because without that, the body doesn't know where to lose weight from. I can't tell myself, okay, cool. I want to lose 4 pounds from my stomach,
Mm.
nowhere
Yeah.
else. That's not how it works. You lose
Right.
weight from all over, and I can't, in regards to if it's cardio and fast, I can't tell my body not to lose muscle. You're gonna lose
mhm,
everything. You lose water, you lose fat and muscle.
Wow.
mm.
Yeah. That
So
That's
I
sounds
why
mean,
people
amazing.
who
so it can be. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's why it shouldn't just be just this universal craze that everybody's doing. I just want to lose weight. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
me, what you're telling me, that could be dangerous. There's a lot of risk to that because
GLPs have risks, they need to be monitored by a physician. They need to have actual plans with them because you are running the risk of losing muscle. That is why, if you look, people go from having rotund faces to looking like Ariana Grande right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
No
Wow.
disrespect to Ariana Grande.
yeah.
Wait a
But
minute, Doc. Okay, so this is a teachable moment here.
Mhm.
Peptides. What's the difference?
So I'm glad you asked that question. What peptide? Because technically GLP-1 is a type of peptide.
Right.
So peptide, and this is where we're getting really into biochemistry, right? So neurotransmitters pretty much are made up of peptides. The body has little itty bitty protein molecules that will end up sitting on neurotransmitters and doing something like that. They're made up of peptides.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
So the biggest
Gotcha.
thing in this particular drug is, well, not the biggest thing. One of the major factors is stopping the mind from craving the food. Is that correct?
So that is one of them. The other
Yeah.
kind of pathways that has been shown, cardioprotective between the GLP-1s and the SGLT2s, another different type of peptide that's been helped with diabetes. Because all the research initially was for diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Ozempic, there was diabetes. It was because certain medications, metformin, glipizide, things of the sort, really weren't doing as well as we wanted them to with weight loss and diabetes. And we know, once again, with that central adiposity or that body fat, if we can get your body weight down, insulin resistance goes down. When your insulin resistance goes down, that means your sugars are more regulated. So how do we help people with that and help them lose weight? That's where your trend for your SGLT2s as well as your GLP-1s came from. So initially, they were for diabetes. Then Big Pharma, in my opinion, was like, hey, just like we use Botox for cosmetic things, how can we utilize this for weight loss? Weight loss has been a booming industry. I mean, you remember the FinFin clinics back in the day, and I mean, now you have like Casemia, which is, I'm not going to say FinFin, but it is technically topiramate and phentermine together for weight loss. Weight loss has been booming. And why? Because we are an obese society. So it will always be booming.
Right.
So now this is just the next mark in the territory of obesity management, weight management.
Right. So it sounds like, I mean, just so much of this stuff is just driven by, just put out there capitalism. Just got to make money,
Sensationalism as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what trend, how can I put, it's a dangerous mix between evidence-based medicine, trends, and capitalism.
Mm.
And lack of
Because
willpower.
very true, very true. But what's the last time we've had a cure in the United States? I want to ask you that. Germany's up here saying that they're trying to cure sickle cell.
Wow.
Anytime you hear things where potential cures, they're not coming from the United States. I'll even go as far back as when Kobe tore his Achilles, why didn't he stay here?
Wow.
Regenerative medicine and things for repair, people go overseas.
And here we are in America. We like, don't be talking about no cures. You're going to get killed.
Yeah, that kill you.
Right.
I'm just saying that's the word on the streets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but I think, every man listening, wants to be what you call, the men in Africa, vital and virile for a long time, right? Right. So, but a lot of men we talk about, they don't go to the hospital. You know what I mean? My cousin passed away a week or so ago from pneumonia. And for it sound like I didn't get the whole story, but it just sounds like it took too long before he went to the hospital.
Wow.
With that. So let's talk about, the fear, this discomfort that a lot of men have. And just people in general, we can even talk about the Black community about going to the hospital. So how can we overcome those fears, those discomfort that prevents us from going to the very people that can help us?
Yeah. And I'll focus more on Black men. And the reason why, because studies have shown Black women will go. Black females are not usually the part of our population that aren't going to the doctor, not doing their checks. Because as much as when we don't remain who is the hallmark, it's never, Pawpaw who is the hallmark of the family, right? It's Big Mama, right? We can all have that experience where we have a matriarchal figure that is not head, but that's all that remains. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's something that we have pulled all the way back from slavery when the men were separated, and it was Big Mama. That was it. So that remains now, and in my opinion, like I say, a little bit of medical apartheid in regards to men and how Black men disproportionately die way sooner than our Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic brothers, right?
Mhm.
Part of the distrust stems historically from being experimented on,
Mhm.
abused, pillaged in the regards of medicine. That's very true. Another part of that distrust is, why would I go to somebody who don't look like me?
Mhm.
They don't understand me. So we're dealing with, you got to look at this in multiple ways, because it's a three-headed hydra. It's a multi-headed monster we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with all this distrust. We're dealing with, I don't have anyone who looks like me. They don't understand, especially in the South, baby. They racist. They don't want nothing good for me anyway.
Right.
Point blank, period. I'm not going to trust this bliggity bleep with my well-being and my health care. Then the third prong, you got to look at, can I get there? Do I think I have time? Do I have insurance?
Mhm.
And can by afford, I don't mean just copays, but from a standpoint of lost work time, what happens if I'm really, really sick and something happens, that level of mental insecurity about what happens if I find something.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Mm.
real.
Sometimes we wait because the fear of the unknown. That I know there's this FOMO, fear of missing out, but this fear of the unknown, right, ends up steering us into instead of, okay, cool, I feel, and I love to use car analogies. My transmission's tugging a little bit. Like, let me go get this checked out. Something ain't right. It wasn't like this. We wait until the check engine light's on,
Mhm.
and then we wait a little bit longer until we're on the side of the road. So if you look at your body that way, if you got that little tug, that may be the time to go get blood work, do your preventative health care to make sure everything is fine. By the time your check engine light's on, something's already running. You just don't know because you're still able to function.
Mhm.
Maybe not at the same capacity, but you can get from point A to point B without too much of an issue. By the time you break down, you very well could be on death's door.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
mm. Man, that is good, Doc. Man, you are blessing us once again. I mean, man, this is really good stuff. What I want to do before we, wrap up, one of the things that I want to ask is, what are some practical strategies when it comes to things like exercise, sleep, right? Nutrition. What are some practical strategies that you can give us and obviously give the audience on having a better health outlook? What are some practical strategies you think you'd give us?
Good. So I'll kind of start in reverse order. I know you mentioned sleep last. There's two prongs to sleep. How long are you sleeping, or are you having good sleep?
Yeah.
All right. So how long? 6 to 8 hours. Six
Mhm.
is a minimum for me, unless I am extremely, when I say working, interrupted, something like that. 6 to 8 hours allows you to get through a couple restorative, like, stages of sleep, because they have multiple sleep stages. It allows you to get into that deep restful state called REM
Mm-hmm.
a couple times, gets you out of it without breaking it, because if you break your REM sleep, it's actually not restorative and you'll wake up feeling tired.
Mhm.
The other thing is the quality of sleep. If you wake up or your partner tells you, baby, you stopped breathing for a couple seconds, then you woke up, and then you went back to sleep. Sleep apnea. Got to make sure your sleep quality is good. If you have sleep apnea, that is one of the most unknown yet huge killers,
Mm,
because you can end up having respiratory arrest that'll stop your heart overnight. I've had multiple patients that went to the hospital down 20 minutes, family member doing CPR, sleep apnea took them out.
Wow.
mm,
So knowing your quality of sleep, are you someone who's always on that phone? What's your sleep hygiene? Are you stressing before? Do you need to take that 15, 20 minutes to purposefully do nothing? No lights, no nothing. Meditate, pray, then go to sleep. Don't be on social media or scrolling. Allow your brain to actually start to slow down so you can get into meaningful sleep. So that would be point one with sleep. Um, in regards to diet, start to prioritize. And I'm not saying do everything immediately. I know in the culture and the society and the economy that we are in, it is going to take time. And it very well may be that, hey, I still need to have canned foods because these canned foods are a third of the price of this, produce that's on the perimeters. But let me decide I'm not going to eat these Doritos. Let me decide I'm not going to bring these Skittles, these Starbursts, all this ice cream and cakes and processed sugars and fats into the house. Let me say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to start trying to make those small decisions that over time will have huge, huge rewards. Maybe this isn't the time to get back on the hen dog. And, this isn't the time to start making sure we got Mad Dog 2020.
Right.
It's one of those things like, come on, you're going to be a Mad Dog if you keep drinking Mad Dog. Let's just keep it
Right.
real. Like,
Right.
cut back on the amount of those extracurriculars that are adding extra calories and inflammation. Right? I got friends who go to cigar bars, but they're not smoking cigarettes every day. Like, I don't tell people to stop doing the things they enjoy, but when they become less enjoyment and celebratory and they become everyday life or a coping mechanism, that is very in tune with addiction.
Yes. Yes.
So, Black community, we have, I won't say a love-hate relationship with addiction, but we have a love-hate relationship with misuse. Alcohol misuse, tobacco misuse, things of the sort. I mean, come on. That increases our risk of, lung cancer, esophageal cancer, which is throat cancer, colon cancers because of the irritation, gastric cancer, stomach cancer due to the irritation. So just those simple things where instead of those being a mainstay of our everyday, I'm not telling you not to enjoy and to celebrate, but just don't do it every day. Then in regards to activity, we got to start being more mobile. You don't need a whole gym. You ain't got to go lift 40 pounds. You ain't got to curl 50s. You ain't got to look like a bodybuilder. We have a body. You got to start thinking about it. And I hate to use gel workouts, but when you lock down, what you work out with? Yourself.
Yep.
We got a whole unit. I can give literally 4 different push-ups that'll get every upper body part other than your back.
Wow.
There's push-ups for your shoulders. There's push-ups for your upper chest, your lower chest. There's push-ups for your triceps. You got squats and lunge variations that'll work the majority of your legs. You got stretches and other things that'll work your smaller muscles. So you can be mobile. You can start the process of getting blood to those muscles, telling those muscles to grow without a $90 gym membership.
Yeah.
You can
I
walk,
like it.
jog, do all that stuff.
Wow.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
good.
one of the things I want to say before I pass it is, you were talking about quality of sleep. One of the greatest gifts that my wife and my daughter got me was they got me an Oura ring. Where I can track and this is not an endorsement for a product or a distributor, okay?
Hey,
Unless they
I will
want,
say,
yes.
Aura, if you want me to do some studies,
Right,
I
right,
will do
right. We
them.
will, yeah.
Amazon
Hey, Brian, like,
Prime.
look, hey, holler at
Yes,
your boy.
yes,
It's Prime Day. They are on
yes,
sale right now. I'm plugging y'all, Aura. Send
yes,
me one.
yeah, yes.
I'm a
Pay the
size
Lifeline
8.5.
podcast.
Send me one. Send all the brothers up here one.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. I mean, it's a great thing to
That's
meaning
funny.
those things that you were talking about, tracking your sleep, tracking your REM sleep, tracking resting heart rate,
Mhm.
tracking stress levels and things like that. And so I really started paying attention to those numbers. I've had it since Christmas, and I can definitely say it has given me a different outlook on my everyday health and activity. And so yeah,
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you
Of
for that.
course. Yes,
Yeah, that's
sir.
good. You got something to track or even look at. I mean, because if you just go through the day with nothing, such as myself, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You kind of just like walking in the dark. But I got to check that out.
Yeah.
I gotta check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
Ring. So, I hate to bring this conversation to a close. It's so good and so rich. We definitely got to have you back, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we need to hear it. Obviously, our audience needs to hear it as well. We need to stay on top of it, especially as Black men. So, but before we close out the show, let our listeners know how they can find you on social media.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So Instagram is bshack, BSHACK_MD. On Facebook, it is literally just my name. It's Brian Shackelford. LinkedIn, Brian Shackelford. So those are the three mechanisms of social media I use. I got a TikTok, but I don't use it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just up there looking at people's videos. So don't try to find me on TikTok. I'm not gonna reply.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Of
Dr.
course.
Shackelford. And as we close today's episode, remember that your health is not something that you take for granted. Taking care of yourself isn't a sign of weakness. It's a commitment to your future. It's a commitment to your family. It's also a commitment to your purpose. Small, consistent choices can have a lasting impact on your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So don't wait for a health scare to start paying attention to what your body is telling you. Make the appointment, ask the questions, and take the next step toward a healthier life. Thank you for listening. And remember, when men prioritize their health, everyone around them benefits. This concludes another episode of The Lifeline with your host, Barry J. Elliott, Lindsberg Petway II, Stephen W. Coleman, and yours truly, Bo Powell. We want to thank our special guest once again for joining us, Dr. Brian Shackelford.
Yes, sir.
We're on a mission to bring light and life into your the places people don't always talk about. So stay with us and join the conversation because we want to hear from you because the Lifeline exists to speak life into your life. Y'all take care.
Thank you for listening to today's episode with host, business expert, and life coach Bo Powell, social media influencer and entrepreneur Lindsberg Petway, and leadership coach and mental health advocate Barry J. Elliott. Join us next week for another impactful conversation on The Lifeline. God bless.